today we're excited to talk a little bit about a topic that seems unconventional for a staffing company. So our main business in Ship to Shore is, I came after college. I went on board ships, and when I went on board ships, I was in the entertainment team. So I was a crew staff, a social hostess, and an activities manager. And then after ships, I'm American, so I ended up going shoreside. There was somebody from the office that was going on maternity leave, and I went for a 3-month contract in Miami, and then I ended up staying shoreside for 11 years. And after 13 years of Royal Caribbean, I knew my kids I have twins. They were 2 years old. I was Royal's director of trade marketing and strategy, future news, and what other department did I have? Global special events. So I was doing all of their ship launches all over the world, and I had 2 infants at home. My husband had a thriving print and design business that was within the cruise industry, and I said, hey, we need to grow your business, and I don't want to travel like this anymore with 2 small children. And so I left my corporate gig and went into Ola Inc., our other business, and we grew it over the course of a couple of years. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, when COVID hit, we said, uh-oh, what do we do now? And we opened an Amazon business, a logistics business, where we did for a couple of years. And because think about it, logistics, package delivery, the Amazon brand, it's very, very similar. If we have run an operation on board a cruise ship, we can deliver packages. So that was a really cool, fun business to be in for a couple of years. And then during that time, our other business, Ola Inc., we started hiring former crew members who decided not to go back to ships after COVID. And we hired one. I think Christian, you were our first hire, a former crew?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so Christian, you were our first hire, former crew. So during COVID, Christian ended up going from a shoreside gig in Miami. You could tell your story, Christian.
Very similar. So COVID hits. A year before that, I had been sent to the corporate office in Miami. COVID hits. Then I lose my corporate gig. I come back home. And then a month later, Barbara calls me and she's like, hey, I'm starting this business with Amazon. Are you interested? We could use your talent so you can help us recruit people. And as we're trying to grow the Amazon role. And yeah, that's when Barbara and our paths crossed once again. And I've been working with her since then. But yeah, I was the first crew member working with you.
Yeah, he was our first crew member. And Christian, it's been 3 years, Christian? I think we're at 3 years. Just about now. Just about now. It's the time that I placed a phone call when he was at home. He lives in Mexico. And so Christian was our first hire. And then we said, all right, there's more crew out there. So we hired another one. We hired another one. We hired another one. And we're a relatively small company. I think at that point we had six or eight employees, 6 employees, I want to say.
6.
And now we are blessed with 30, 35, I think 33, something in that neighborhood. A big chunk of them are former crew members. And everybody who joined our team, you guys can probably relate to. It was just a life change. They didn't want to be at sea anymore. They had a parent that they wanted to be home with. They had nieces and nephews who were growing up and they didn't want to miss. They had a house that they had built. They had another story we've heard recently through Ship to Shore is a teenager who was like in their child who was in the like 12-year-old stage and they just needed their mom. And so that life transition really happens. And a lot of people don't want to leave ships, but you kind of need to. And so when that happens, all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to leave this life behind. I'm going into this new land-based world. And especially if you were on ships for more than 10 years, it's a real shock to your system to go, okay, what do people do to apply for jobs now? Is it resumes? Is it LinkedIn? And we really we said we have to, and this is what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about today, is that when you're looking at any business that you want to open or anything that you see as an opportunity, is you really have to start first with your why. And if you guys haven't ever followed or listened to, I think it's one of the top TED Talks that's out there. It's Simon Sinek. Wilhelmina, I don't know if you can look it up and put it in the chat. It's for sure on YouTube, but he talks about your why. And any of the businesses, I think at the peak of what we were doing, we had about 8 different businesses that we were running. Now I think we're down to 5. And really, truly, when you're looking at what you're going to start, you have to start with your why first. So understanding the potential of what entrepreneurship can do for you in your life is massive. But our why behind starting Ship to Shore was, hey, we have crew members that are out there that don't know what they're going to do, don't know where they're going to go, and that breaks our hearts. And they don't know if the world sees their value. And then we have the cruise industry. So first we just started focusing on cruise lines, and then we kind of branched out into partners like Starboard. And we have the cruise industry that has a need for qualified, talented individuals. And the beauty of what happened during the COVID is it opened everybody's eyes to this concept of virtual work. And what maybe a Miami-based cruise line would only be sourcing individuals from Miami and limiting themselves to that talent, all of a sudden they can lift their heads up and go, oh, wait, I have someone that worked for me for 10 years, for 5 years, has expertise in this area, and we serve as that bridge. So we work with the cruise industry, we get those contracts, we get the roles, we post them for you guys, and then from there, you guys see what can be a fit for you based on time zone, based on skill set, based on, anything that might be what you want to focus in. And then we connect you guys. So basically you're employed through us, we invoice the cruise line or the cruise partner, and we pay you. And one of the things that we do is we hire locally in your country. So you would be getting your salary and you would be paying your local taxes, whatever country you choose to be hired in. I know some people, have a certain, they're Brazilian nationality, but live in Portugal, for example. So you guys can decide what country you want to be hired in based on where you're legally able to work. And then you have the potential for long-term employment. Thank you, Ivy. But that's just a little bit about me and what we're doing. And remember, our primary business is staffing. So we're looking at where there's a gap for someone in the cruise industry and where their skill set and where that bridge. But really the thing that really sets Christian and my heart on fire is that we're a professional development company. So we're not in the business of selling classes or courses or anything like that to former crew members. It's just not what we would ever feel right doing. Our staffing business is the one that is going to be our primary business and fund us and pay all of our salaries. We're pre-revenue right now. So at this point, we're working based on our investment. But really what is important for us is that we are serving former crew in development. If it's helping you guys understand what it could look like to start a side gig, to helping you set up your LinkedIn, to talking about interview skills, we want to make sure that everything that we're doing is adding value to a crew member's life. And then in turn, start with why. Thank you for posting that, Wilhelmina. She put that TED Talk in there. So please open that, you guys, on the tab in your computer and watch it later on. But we want to make sure that our business is really about people. Our business is about ensuring that crew members know that they have value after they get off of a ship. And we know that there's tens of thousands of crew members that get off ships, and we're not going to be able to employ every single one of them. So we know that our impact can be on individuals outside. So that's why we're doing today. I think a huge question that I get all the time, and the team was actually the one that I don't really like to talk about myself. I like to talk about you guys, but the team was the one that said, hey, let's do a webinar about entrepreneurship, and actually I did a survey on my LinkedIn recently because I'm looking at doing a online course and what would interest people. And a lot of people are interested in this topic of entrepreneurship. It's very interesting to them. I think the access of social media right now is that you can be in your home country and open a business on Amazon, online, and really explore some exciting opportunities. So first and foremost, the potential for entrepreneurship is massive. And if you as a crew member can find your niche and your passion in this world of entrepreneurship, the sky is the limit. So you have the opportunity of first maybe starting a side gig, doing something on the side before you get off ships, or while you have a full-time job, starting something on the side. And that's, if you think about my journey and what I went through, is that I didn't just drop my corporate job that gave me my paycheck. I had already an established business with my husband that we sat down one day and we just said, actually it was a weekend. We sat down one weekend and we did an Excel spreadsheet and we called it the exit plan. And I would encourage you guys to do this, is we put everything on paper of what it would look like for us to leave my salary, to leave my corporate job. And it was like a version A, B, and C. So it was like a low, a medium, a high. And the low was, okay, if we just eat spaghetti for the next year, this is how much money we need. The medium one was, okay, we'll go out to pizza once every 2 weeks. And then the high one was, okay, we get to go to like a decent restaurant once a week. And so we just started basically putting the numbers on paper, and all of a sudden when you put the numbers on paper, you go, okay, this is possible. So think about what that looks like for you. Is if you are initially going to keep your ship job and you're going to start this side gig, if you have a spouse that maybe has a full-time job and you can start your side gig, they can financially support you. And the more riskier one is if you just go cold turkey and you drop everything that you're doing and you go into your business. It's huge risk. I don't know if I'm that brave, but think about what you can financially support based on what you have. So the thing that first is you have to look at where you are at that place in your life. Do you have kids? Do you have somewhere to live? Do you have a house that's paid off? Are you sleeping on somebody's sofa? Because that's going to drive what your decision is in this entrepreneur world. The thing that I would like you guys to really, really think about, and what I want to encourage you guys to do is, as we go through this, if you have a question, please put it in the chat and Wilhelmina will stop me. Or at the bottom of your screen, there's a little hand. You can just click on the hand and it will raise your hand and just stop and ask a question. And most of the times when you have a question, somebody else in the group also has that question, so don't be afraid. And then there's a little smiley face. If you want to react to anything, all you have to do is click onto the little smiley face and I'll keep talking more about it, or I'll give you guys the opportunity to ask more questions about it. So my first point is really about the power of entrepreneurship for crew members. As you look at what department or what area you have expertise in, you have to remember that the cruise industry is a very, very niche, specialized industry that very, very few people understand. So a lot of people get off of ships and forget the intricacies of the knowledge that you earned being on board a ship. There are so many people, and Seatrade is one of the big conferences. If you guys are in Europe and you have the potential of getting to Seatrade, I think it's in Hamburg this year, go. I had a crew member, they do one in the US, one is in Fort Lauderdale, and it was in March of this year. And then they do a European one, and that one's in September. I think it's the 6th through the 8th. It's basically all the suppliers and all of the vendors who want to work within the cruise industry go to this. They either work within the cruise industry or want to work within the cruise industry. So it's ports, shore excursion suppliers. It's the one in the US has a huge food and beverage component. So they have like people that make waffles that want to sell their waffles to cruise lines. And when you go to these events, you realize the demand for the knowledge of the cruise industry. So it could be, if you guys were in jewelry on board, like JIT was, it could be a jewelry company that wants to get in within the cruise industry or wants to understand the intricacies of it. So look at what are those companies or those organizations that you can connect to, and you can potentially provide consulting services to. You can potentially work for them. You can potentially be a partner for them. And because I think a lot of people overlook the knowledge that they've earned in the industry. And so maybe that starts as a side hustle that you find. And a great example would be like a sous chef or somebody that was in the F&B arena in the waffle company. So you go to these expos, you see this waffle company, and you're like, oh my gosh, they have no idea what they're doing. They package the waffles incorrectly. They don't know how logistics work and shipping items. And you can poke 100 holes in their business, and they can pay you for adding that value to them. So we think that you have to remember, if it's a jewelry company, if it's a waffle company, what it may be, this is the simplest version of starting a business. It's starting consulting for somebody that wants to be in an industry that you have knowledge of. So one of the things that I caution people on as they look at this consulting model, and I just had a call, I've been talking to a former training and development manager who she's starting an amazing business. But one of the things that you have to be really, really cautious of in the beginning when you're starting your business as a consultant is that I've watched people do it over and over and over again, is they leave their job. I'm going to be a consultant because they find one client that's going to hire them, for example. And you can only make as much money as you're willing to charge or you're willing to work. You have completely limited what your income is going to be by charging, I don't know, whatever you choose to charge. Say you charge $50 an hour for your consulting business. So you have to say, okay, $50 an hour, I'm willing to work 40 hours a week, let's say, so you can make $2,000 a week. And then all of a sudden, you start investing in your business. You get a website, you get an email, and then your 40 hours turns into 80 hours, but you're only charging the client less because you're giving more. And I see people just burn themselves out in this industry. So I really, really caution people as getting into the consulting business is okay in the beginning, but don't rely on it, because meet a couple consultants and you're going to see what their life looks like. They don't have vacations. They're tied to their computer, answering constantly their clients. And so it's a good start, but don't use it as your long-term game. You go, okay, I can build a company that addresses this concern for the shops on board, addresses this concern for food and beverage on board. So think about what the stages of your business could be. And the easiest version is consulting, but the next version would be really ownership of a business. So I'm going to go into that one in a little bit more detail. Is that, say you identify that, okay, I want to do consultancy, or I want to work in this one thing, this business that I'm going to acquire, something like that, is that you have to make sure that whatever you're focused on meets that vision of what we were talking about in the beginning of Ship to Shore, is that our vision is changing the lives globally of former crew members. That's our vision. We know if we can help a crew member feel valued getting off a ship, provide them employment, that has a trickle down effect to not only them, but to their family and to their community. So that's the thing that we constantly stay focused on, is that, hey, we're adding value to someone's life and changing their life and changing the life of their family. This is not about just connecting a person to a job. That can serve you short term, but long term, as you open your business, it's going to burn you out. You're going to get tired. You're not going to have passion for it anymore. And your customers are not going to feel your passion. So think about what is that thing in any business that you're looking at, being it consultancy for, retail, be it consultancy for onboard revenue, be it consultancy for XYZ, is you have to make sure that thing gets you up in the morning and is like this Simon Sinek, is your why, is you're going, hey, and a lot of companies start their business and then afterwards they go, oh wait, why are we doing this again? we're doing it to create impact. We're doing it for whatever this reason is. And this will help you sustain a long-term impactful business and make people want to work with you. So identifying passion, vision, and what's unique about you is huge. So this is where a lot, it's called a USP, your unique selling proposition. What makes your business different than anybody else's? I think that's critically important. Is you have to go, is it, you know, when we look at our business, when we look at Ship to Shore, what makes us really unique is that we were crew members, we were shoreside, and we are entrepreneurs. So we have experience in all three of these areas. And everybody says, why has nobody opened a business like this before? And I really truly believe it's because nobody had these three things. And it's freaking scary to open a business. Like, it's really scary. You're putting your vision and your passion out on the line, and you're going, please, somebody like what is so important to me. And it's this catch-22, because if you don't run a business that you're passionate about, then you're not going to, it's going to be short term. You're going to make small money. It's not going to be a big thing for you. It's not going to wake you up in the morning. But when you open a business that you're passionate about, it's scary, because you're saying, I believe in crew. I believe this in my core. I want to change lives. So every time somebody slams the door and they say, I don't see value in your product, that hurts. But it's that resilience that has to propel you forward versus stop you from doing it. So really, truly look at what is unique about what you can potentially sell. And does anybody, I want to give the opportunity, if anybody has a business that either is in this beginning phase of opening, please, I want you to speak up and we can talk through what it is. If you guys have a business that you're considering, if you have a business that you've seen somebody else do that, let's talk through it. I want you guys to please raise your hand, because I would love to poke a hole in what's unique about it, because I think this is a really important exercise. Gestion, maybe that's your business.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell us your name.
my name is Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Nice to meet you too. I am from Colombia.
Oh, amazing. I love Colombia. So full of flavor.
Yes.
So tell us about your business, or tell us
Full
about
of
your dream.
color.
What do you want to start?
Yeah, right now I am part of a project that is over here that is about coaching comedy for
Oh,
companies.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's something that we offer to companies, you know, like to work about leadership, about communication, about teamwork, about these kind of different things.
Okay. And who's delivering? So again, her business, you guys, is Jamie, right?
Jamie, yeah.
Jamie. So Jamie's business is about going into businesses and helping them with comedy, but it is training that, so it would be in theory like a company that's having problems with an area. Maybe they have like people fighting or disagreements, like something that has tension around it, and they want to bring light and fun to their company, so they bring you guys in to train. Is that correct?
And it's more or less like that, but I will explain it again. So
Okay.
I am part of this project. The project is not mine. I am not the artist. You know, like
Okay.
the person that is doing the show, to say it like that, is
Yep.
another one. I am the one in the sales and everything about strategies, marketing. That's my part.
Ooh.
This is not my company. It's something that I am support. So I am the one like sending mailings, you know, like, hey, this is here. You have problem with your teamwork. We will help you with that. You know about the communication. You know what makes difference in communication. You know which one can be the best way to follow your dream. So can be a common dream for your company, your group, your project, these kind of things. It's
Okay.
not it's not exactly my business, but I am part of this project right now.
Okay. Okay. And so you work freelance for them, or
Yes.
you work freelance for them? Okay.
Yeah, for
So you
me it's basically like you say, okay, I want this show. When you pay for the show, I get my money. If I don't have shows, I don't have money.
okay. So
Just like that.
you're in sales for them.
Uh-huh.
You're in sales. What did you do on board, Jamie?
On board, I was in the shops. I
Okay.
start in the regular shops, like the souvenirs, like all of these kind of things, handbags. And my last contract was I was a watch specialist in the
Okay.
jewelry store. Yep.
Okay. So this is what I love about Jamie's experience, and a lot of you guys who came from the retail world are going to relate to this, is the reason that she's good at her job. And Jamie, right now you have a job. You don't have a business yet. We'll help you get to
Uh-huh.
creating a business out of this.
I
Um,
mean, it is really curious because I was working in a own business as well, but this was a fail. Not for the business, it's because it wasn't just me, it was with more people, but definitely didn't work at all. I'm getting through this right now, like to close this episode in my life because it's been really hard.
oh,
Yeah.
can anybody relate to that? Jamie, a business, a business a business closing is not a failure. I'm just going to encourage you in that. It's not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn. And you ask every successful human being who has made massive change, you know, look at Richard Branson, look at Grant Cardone, look at Sarah Blakely. These people can tell you how many times they fell on their face. I can tell you how many times I fell on my face. And the difference is us not saying that this business closure, this success I am not a failure as a person because this business didn't work. And this is when you build your resilience, and this is when you get to the next level. Is that you go, oh, that was interesting. That hurt a little bit. I learned something great out of it. I'm not going to do that again. And then you go into the next thing that you're in. And right now you're in a position, and so your failures, what you're perceiving as a failure is a gift. It is a gift because most people are not willing to even put themselves out there to take the risk to have the failure. So you need to be like, yes, this is amazing. That hurt, you lost money, you lost reputation, whatever those things are, but you're the one that ultimately, money comes and goes. Money is like the water in the ocean. You can go in with a teaspoon, a coffee cup, or a dump truck, and the ocean's not going to look any different. So whether you lost a dump truck of money or a teaspoon of money, doesn't really matter. What you have the opportunity to do now is go into this next area and go, hey, me as Jamie, I'm really good at this thing for this company. And how do I scale this? So, and think about, if you guys came from the retail world, you got the door slammed in your face probably 30 times a day, if not more, by customers, right? Can you guys all relate to that? Like,
Yeah.
it was like you're working a deal, about slam, 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 and you just keep getting back up. You keep getting back up. You keep getting back up. So anytime we're selling somebody from a ship to, we don't connect people to land-based businesses yet, but in the future we potentially could. Is I'm like, on a cruise ship, this is literally rejection on steroids because you have to get up every single morning with a smile on your face, get rejected, and go back and do that for 6, 7, 8 months. There's no industry that exists out there. And as you look at your business, Jamie, I would be leading in with that. I would be like, hey, my business is I help you close sales because I surround myself with the most resilient individuals for XYZ, whatever you choose to sell. If it's going to be gigs, if it's going to be something. And then you're teaching other people that work on your team how to do what you already do. If not, you're severely limiting what your income would be.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, the Jamie, start listening to look at some of the other podcasts or some of the other webinars that we've done. And you're going to see, we talk about failure a lot and resilience, because unless you're willing to get rejected, you can't experience success. So that is a gift. And there's a great woman right now. There's a lady that's coming out with a book. Jamie Lee Kern is her name, and she's writing a book called Worthy. And one of the things that she talks about, she's an inventor of it was It Cosmetics. It's a huge cosmetic brand in the States. And she was saying when her company, they had not $1 left. And she went in front of this venture capitalist and she was trying to get money to keep, she paid her last dime on flying to meet with this guy. And he said, I love your product. I love what you do. He said, but I can't invest in you. And he was like, because you're a cosmetics brand and looking the way that you do, being the weight that you are, she was overweight. I just don't think that you're right for our brand image. And she was absolutely devastated. She cried in her car. She cried in her car because she needed the money. He insulted her. And 6 years later, she sold her cosmetics company to L'Oreal for $1 billion. And that gentleman reached out to her and was like, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And he's like, and she said, if you didn't reject me in that way, I probably would have not made what I did out of myself. So that was a really, really cool story. So make sure to listen to that chat by Wilhelmina's Ed Milet and Jamie Lee Kern. It's an interview. So maybe you can share that link. And I think, Sales, you had raised your hand. Thank you for sharing, Jamie.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
Sales, I don't know if you had a question or if you're just waving.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Thales from Brazil. No, because you asked it. So first of all, sorry about this mess. It's because I had an injury in my hand, so it's a little bit difficult to shave and and be presentable this week. I was playing volleyball and I hurt my finger. No, I had an experience with my sister. I helped her to develop her brand, and it's a cosmetic brand, a natural cosmetic brand. And it's quite difficult we face a lot of issues, like difficulties, especially when you are trying to reach a specific target. So I was just about to share my experience with you all people.
Yeah. What have you found most difficult about it?
Sometimes it's difficult. When you think you reach the certain public for your product, because it's like natural products, so it's a very specific target. So people who want to buy and people who can buy this because they're a little more expensive than the normal cosmetics, right? Because of the ingredients and all the material you can use it. So one of the difficult points was during these open markets, the free open markets we participate. Sometimes we are spending like 20, almost 30 minutes talking to a customer and explaining all the benefits of the product. By the end, like to sell like one piece of a bar soup, like with a very short income, and in the next, like the next shopper, the next seller, he was like selling I don't know, some beers, the guy was selling like a lot. Like there was even a queue of people like willing to buy his products. And meanwhile, like me and my sister, like we developed all the brand, all the content, all the, you know, all the story behind the brand. And it's very difficult sometimes to pass
Yeah.
all this storytelling, right, to
Yeah.
a customer.
Yeah, I think, and you guys, you all who worked in retail, you probably know a lot more about sales than I ever could. But I would encourage you to read a book. It's by Donald Miller, and it's called The Story Brand. And he has a lot of good things on YouTube. So there's a lot of good things that you can listen to. Maybe Wilhelmina put Story Brand, Donald Miller's channel up. One of the things that we get really, really passionate about our business and what we're going to start. And you guys, please, if you're considering opening a business, read this book and look at the positioning. And I'm going to give you guys a really good story that is about the US presidential campaign. And if any, I don't know, you guys are mostly international, but you'll understand the context of it, is that most companies that actually make an impact, the customer is the center of the story. It's not what your product is and what you offer, right? Is when we talk about ship to shore, we're talking about the fact that when we're talking to crew members, we're speaking to what you guys are experiencing. You get off ships, you feel lonely, you feel like you don't have a community, you don't know where to go next, you're confused by LinkedIn, you miss your ship family. We're speaking to the pain that you're experiencing. We're not saying, we provide the best, happiest, most high-paid jobs. That's the solution. You have to make sure that in your cosmetic product, that you are speaking to the pain of what your customer is experiencing. If you guys are curing eczema, that might be something that you guys by on the side do. But for somebody who has eczema or some type of skin condition, like I would have that as the first thing in my advertising. Do you suffer from skin allergies? And people are like, oh, I suffer from skin allergies. Then they're coming in and going, hey, you're the potential solution to my problem. And Don Miller in his book writes a really good proposal where he talks about like a lawn company. Like you don't want to, when somebody's going to mow your lawn, you don't, a landscaping company, you don't want to go and we're the best landscaping company in the whole world. We come on time, we cut your grass, we're great. Like, isn't that an expectation that you do that? What if we say to you, hey, do you just not have the time to get around to have a beautiful yard so you can enjoy it with your family? And you're like, yeah, that happens to me. We're the solution to that problem. So the best analogy that I can give is if you look at the Hillary Clinton and the Donald Trump presidential campaign in the US. And this will be an interesting test to see who knows this. Does anybody know what Donald Trump's tagline was? What was the thing that he went out and told people? You can take yourself off mute or type it in. What did Donald Trump say?
It was something like "Make American Great," something like that.
Yep.
America great
Yep.
again, and like so we were great, but not anymore, something like that.
So Donald Trump's campaign slogan, and imagine these are presidential candidates, so they have the money to hire the best marketing company in the entire world. Donald Trump's campaign was "Make America Great Again." The story was about the customer. It was, wow, America sucks. I feel that pain, and you were the person that's going to save me from that pain. And does anybody know what Hillary's was? Nobody remembers it, ever. No one ever remembers it. So Hillary Clinton's was, I am with her. It's literally the opposite of what you should do in any marketing. She said, I'm Hillary, I'm great. You should be with me because I'm great. If it's your sales business, if it's your cosmetics company, whatever that thing that you're going to bring to the table, you have to start with the solution and the problem that you're solving for that individual. Nobody remembered I am with her because it was so selfish. that, and political beliefs aside, I won't tell you where I am, but that it, when we can put ourselves into, think about Nike commercials where they show the woman and they're in that internal voice of the woman running early in the morning in the dark, da, 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 da. You can relate. I got goosebumps just saying that. You can relate to that woman or that person that just wants to have that experience of exercising. Nike doesn't come out and say, we make the best, prettiest shoes in the world, because then the advertising would be about them. So think about your business. And this is the key to establishing your brand, because this establishment of your brand focuses it on your client. And one really, really useful thing is, as you're going, okay, if it's a cosmetics brand, if it's a consulting, if it's a sales consulting, whatever the thing is that you want to focus in, is go, what problem am I solving for someone else? And how can that evoke emotion? And the story brand content will help inspire you. So and I love Barbara Cochran. She's the blonde older lady that's on the Shark Tank. You guys may have seen her. She's a very successful realtor. And she talks about how, like, business plans, and when somebody tells you to write a business plan, how it's just garbage. Like, people spend hours and days writing out these beautiful business plans. And really, truly, it's putting your ego aside in your business and putting your customer first and speaking to whatever that pain is and constantly reminding yourself how you're going to solve that pain for somebody. So any questions on branding or your positioning? No? Okay. One of the things that I really want you guys to think about is that as you're going back into your home communities and as you know the expertise that you have, that you've learned from Ships, I want you to really, really think about is how can you look at existing businesses that have tremendous success already. So you want to look at businesses. A lot of people go, oh, I want to start my new business. I'm going to create this new revolutionary idea. Da, 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 da. When I look at your cosmetics brand, is what I would be doing is I would be going to see, what are the other cosmetics brands that are in my country, that are in my town, that have had success, and what stages are those businesses at? Because this is really, really important, is that you could go and find a cosmetics company that aligns with your skin, because cosmetics is soaps, products, skin products. It's a relatively commonplace business for people in these fairs and things like that. You could go and find an individual, and you guys could do this in your hometown, in your home city, somewhere, and you could find somebody that has a business that has an established client base, that has probably been around for, I would target more than 20 years, and has an owner that is over the age, that's running profitably, has an owner that is getting ready to retire, has a client base. You can very, very easily, the statistics in the US are that 85% of businesses are going to close because the children don't want to take over the businesses, or because the individual wants to retire, but they don't want to let go of their employees. They don't. So think about in your hometown. Think about the place that you are. What business is there? Maybe it's a jewelry store. Maybe it's a retail store. Maybe it's someplace. And sit down and start having a conversation with the owner and think about what that could potentially look like for you, because you could get decades of experience. You could get mentorship. You could get partnership with somebody that says, hey, I have this business and I'm trying to sell cosmetics, or I'm trying to sell soaps, or I'm apparel. Can you help me? And 9 times out of 10 is that someone who is above 60 years old is they want to see you have success, and they want to share the mistake that they have already made with you. so that you don't experience those same things. And you bring to them youth, vitality, excitement, experience, drive that they could potentially see their business growing into. So you're going to look at what your values, what your passions are, and what are the things that really wake you up in the morning. And then what's unique about that business that you want to sell. I think that's first and foremost. Then you're going to look at what are there other businesses within my community that are like the one that I want to open. And I could either just talk to the person and just say, hey, you know, do you see that there's potential of us working together? Could you teach me something? And literally one of the mentors who's a partner in this company, Roz, she's been my husband and my mentor for probably 4 or 5 years, I want to say. And she is nearing her 70s. She's never told me her age. She had this incredibly successful staffing business. She helped our printing business for years. And then when I told her I want to open this, she's like, this is amazing. I would have to pay a consultant tens of thousands of dollars to get the advice, the experience, the clarity that I get from her. And she does it because she wants to see me have success. And adding someone like that to your network, that's the only person that you should be asking for advice. Do not go out there with your product, with the soap, with the thing that you're so passionate about and say, hey, friends, come to my house and give me your opinion on my things. No, you don't need their opinion. That's the way to set yourself up for failure. Like, I really, truly believe that so many people ask for so many people's opinion because they're looking to validate their idea. No, go out there and speak to your customers because your friends may not be your customers. Your customer may be somebody with allergic skin problems. So talk to people like that and have them try your product. So any questions up to this point? And then I want to give you guys, I'll give you guys time for questions at the end, but I just want to keep us conscious on time. And then the other thing that I'm going to really, really encourage you guys on is I'm going to tell you a couple stories of some individuals that have gotten off ships that I just want to talk you through some of their business models so that you can think about how you can apply this to yours. So I have a really good friend that he was a former boss of mine, and he was laid off during one of the cruise line reduction in workforces. He had been with the cruise line for, I think, 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. And all he knew was working for a cruise line. And he was like, okay, what do I do now? And he opened a consultancy firm that does entertainment. And the name of their company is Spark Cooperative. You guys can find them online. They're in social media, LinkedIn. They have tremendous success. And it's really, really cool to see what they've done is that they're going and they're helping cruise lines and they're bringing the expertise that they learned from years of working for a major cruise line into some of these smaller brands. So they're working with hotels, helping them set up what would be their cruise compass or their daily planner. They're helping them set up their flow of what their guest experience would be. Think about a hotel, or think about you guys being able to go into a hotel chain in the country that you're in, that you could, you know, if you're in Eastern Europe, is that you could go and rework the entire shops of hotels, and you could be known for doing them. And you could get a percentage of the revenue of reworking those shops. So there's no skin in the game for them. You could charge a fee. But imagine if you get a percentage of those shops and you are the starboard of those shops, that's recurring revenue coming into your world versus just charging a flat consultation fee. So flat consultation fee, what, you're going to get $1,000 or $5,000, whatever you choose to charge for it. But if you say, hey, hire me to redo your shops, and I'll take a percentage of whatever the sales are, 10%, 20% of whatever the sales are for redoing your shops. But you get that for eternity. So you get to check in on all your little shops. You didn't rent a space. You didn't buy inventory. You didn't have any skin in the game, but you're being able to offer your expertise, and you want to see it grow because you make money when it grows. So he provided his consultation services, and they charge a fee for that. But they also develop a platform. That is a platform that helps develop kind of the schedule for what you would experience in a hotel or you would experience on a cruise ship. It's kind of like a Cruise Compass platform, and people sign up and pay for that platform. So that's recurring revenue on top of the consultancy business. I have another friend that he's in Canada, he's in BC, and he opened a shore excursion company. So he went and I don't know if he found an old shore excursion company and took it over, or if he started his from scratch, but he's been at least 10 years doing it. And he was a diver on board with us. So he went in his hometown and said, I can offer better tours. I have relationships, and he built out his shore excursion company. And he wasn't the only one doing it. I'm sure in the beginning it was just him, but then all of a sudden he scaled it, and he started getting the tour guides. He started looking at unique locations and where he could do tours. He connected with the tourist board. So think about that. If the destination that you live has cruise ship stopping, or if you could provide help or support or consultation to any of the shore excursion groups that are within your country. Another company that is obviously our company, we do print and graphic design for the cruise industry. And so cruise and hospitality, so we work with cruise lines and hotels, because there's a lot that is in common, is that we knew we started just doing photography, then it went into graphic design, then it went into printing, and now it's going into really idea concepting for cruise lines. And so taking what was just a photography business and moving it to the place that we're in, is that we identified with our cruise line customers is that they want a one-stop shop. They want somebody who can do the design, can do the printing, can do the installation, because they don't want to have to go to 3 different people to have to do it. So that's how we adjusted our business to be able to support it. Ship to Shore is obviously our other one. And then hiring agencies, there's a lot of different hiring agencies that are out there that are contracting crew members. And depending on what country you're in, I would really, really look at how many hiring partners are in my country. How successful are they? What are they doing? The hiring agency world, I would just be very careful that just make sure that the business that the way that you want to do it is the right way. Because I think a lot of them, you guys have probably experienced firsthand, make a little money here off of the crew member, make a little money here, make a little money here. But right now I see a massive, massive demand in cruise lines looking for individuals to help hire for them. And Christian, can you think of any other ones that maybe I've missed? Crew members who have started businesses? You can come back to me.
Anthony Richards.
Oh, he works for someone. So he does recruitment for a jewelry brand. But I'll think of a few more. And then last really truly, you guys, is that I want you also, don't make sure, if you guys don't follow me on social media, Barbara Kobos1 on Instagram, follow me, because I provide a lot of financial guidance and advice. Some of the stuff is relevant on a global scale, some of the stuff is not. So just look at it, because I'm really, really good with numbers and budgets and finances and all that type of stuff. It's kind of the nerd side of me, is that I really, really believe that it's so easy to create financial independence. But if you are listening and watching the right people, like at one point in time in my social media, I was following all these, women that like, hey, I bought this outfit from Amazon. Hey, I bought this outfit from here. And I'm like, no, Barbara, why are you looking at this stuff? I got rid of all of those people. And now all I follow is people that are talking about the stock market, that are talking about investment opportunities, that are talking about insurance plans, that are talking about business building. I'm listening a lot about some of the Amazon business building, some of the marketing affiliates. Okay, Marissa, great question. It's so funny it's great that you asked that question. My biggest fear when I left my corporate gig was losing my health insurance. I thought, it was going to be the end of the world, and how, because you hear all these horror stories about medical things like that. And it was one of those things that I was so afraid of in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, when I factored in, and in the US, when you go onto the marketplace, you actually get really good credits when you don't make a lot of money. So the government gives you credits to cover your health insurance. And so that's a huge, huge help in the beginning. But then all of a sudden, when you start making more money, you have to pay full health insurance. You should probably budget like $400 to $500 a month for health insurance per adult. And then for children, it's less. But you guys, the health insurance, looking at, I'm 7 years out of my corporate gigs, is that it's laughable at this point because I haven't thought about my health insurance. And one of my best friends, she's also an entrepreneur now, she left corporate and she started her own business. And her and I laughed because that's the number one question everybody asks us is about health insurance. That you can go out and buy health insurance and you can get $200 a month health insurance. You can get a decent coverage for $400 a month. But it's just one of the things that you got to put a line item in and you got to make a choice. Okay, I'm not going to eat out. I'm going to cover my health insurance. And honestly, you could sell a product on Amazon and make that money like in your sleep. So just don't stress about it. It's a super, super easy thing to cover. But provided that you kind of do that transition and think about your transition from your corporate job. Is that if you have a corporate job already, ask the people to go part-time. If you're full-time, say, hey, would you be willing to let me go part-time and start your business on the side? So you start at full-time, then it starts getting running, then you go part-time, and then eventually you leave completely when you know that you have enough backing financially to be able to do that. So great question. We have about 4 minutes left. So I wanted to first thank you guys for attending, for having an open mind, for letting me challenge you guys on failure. I really want you guys to know that the sky is the limit when you think about what you can do. And I could get 5 minutes with one of you and you can say, oh, I don't know what business, and I will give you 5 businesses that you need to start tomorrow. Because starting a business is the easiest possible thing that you could do. And I would just encourage you, have a job, have an Amazon business, have an Etsy business, have investments in the stock market, like have at least 5 sticks in the fire so that you have money that is building. It may be $1 a day, but it's the dollar that you didn't have yesterday. And that gives you the encouragement and that gives you the confidence to know that you can scale and you can grow your business. So do we have any questions? Anybody that wants to commentary? Any questions about Ship to Shore that I can answer for you guys? Anything you want to advertise on your end? Ojit?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Since I have the experience of the fine jewelry, even in India, also in some Caribbean island, and it's also the cruise ship. So right now, but I want to plan it for the start business for the in jewelry. What's the scope about that? Because right now I'm in India, so I have find so many gems in here in India. So how's the scope about that for jewelry business in the cruise line or in some Caribbean?
Who do you
Is there any
want?
scope for that?
Who do you want your customers to be?
Our customers will be then the US clientels
Okay.
and around, yes.
Okay. So
Or it
first
may be
thing I would
possible,
go ahead.
yes. Maybe to start an online business or maybe going to coming to sell to there.
Yeah. So first thing I would look is I would say, okay, who's already in the jewelry business? If I were you, first thing I would do is who is already in the jewelry or gemstone sales business selling to the US and has already had success. So I would first look at that. And then I would look and I would say, are any of these people willing to sell their company or mentor me? That's the second thing that I would look at. Is I would guess maybe there's 50 companies. Maybe 50 companies in India that you could find on Google or you could connect to. And then I would say, all right, you know, are they going to keep the business within the family and give it to their kids? Are they, you know, what's the history of the business? That's your first pass at, I would not be starting the business on your own, investing in it. I would try and find an existing business that's already out there. And then I think that the value that you could bring to any of these partners is that you could say, I know the cruise industry. And you could potentially take a well-established business, you could take your cruise experience and you could try and make that connection that adds value to them. So say they already sell to the US market, you as JIT are not going to go to an Effie or a Starboard and say, hey, buy my jewels. They're going to laugh at you. And it's going to be a waste of your time and your money. But if you can find a big brand that doesn't know the cruise industry, that you're adding value to, that they can partner with you, and say you get 50% of the sales of anything, and you become the head of cruise line sales, and you're bringing this big brand into an Effie or a Starboard or something like that, then that gets you 10 years ahead of you doing it yourself. Does that make sense? I think Jit froze. Or he didn't like my answer. Okay, but I think you guys get the concept, because that analogy that I'm giving you, you can take that into any business. And I'm gonna mispronounce your name. That Thales, Thalys, like, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Tal.
It's a difficult name. It's Thales.
Thales. Thales, the same thing. Even though you're doing farmers markets, you're doing things like that, I would also on the side start looking for those brands that can teach you.
Yeah, no, but thank you so much for your advice, because as it's a homemade natural product, so it's a very good one. I know because I use it. You know, it's my sister who she does by herself. No, but sometimes we struggle to connect with the customer, maybe because we are not looking for a specific pain, you know, to be solved. Maybe that's the, you know.
Yeah. Ernadi?
I just want to say something to Thales. So I was working in a company that sells beauty products. So if I can give you a small tip, when you are speaking to somebody who is going to buy something that is related to wellness of any person. So my advice is to you, first look for your client concern. So when you know your client concern, you can choose your product better and offer the best solution. And then close the sale. If you have 3 products, offer 2 or 3, but look from conversation with your client, which of those 3 is the one that your client likes the most. So
Yeah.
as a small
And
tip.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ernadine. And I would, Carol can attest to it, but I would go and find a former spa person, because oh my God, those spa people, they've had that Steiner training.
I was in a
You
spa.
were amazing. Of course you were. Like they can sell anything to anybody. You're like, I didn't know I had collagen and I needed this brush. So I would talk and get some of their, and I'm sure you have friends that worked in the spa. I would get their tips. I would get their, say, hey, this is my product. How would you position it? And that will.
Do not apply any collagen product on your face, because collagen cells are larger than the pores. So you cannot, your skin cannot absorb it. So if you're going to take collagen, take it on your mouth to digest it. So any product with collagen will not do you well. You will just pay expensively.
That's why Ernadine looks like he's 17.
I'm 42.
Thank you so much.
42 is wonderful.
Anytime.
Okay, great. But
Bertie.
please know that I am here for you guys. My email is barbara@shiptoshoremployee.com. Christian, it's Christian. Carol, it's Carol. Wilhelmina, same. If you guys need anything, the current positions that we have open, it's a traveling visual merchandising position for Starboard. You can see the job description on our website. We presented a final 3 candidates to them, and I think last week, and we have probably another position that will still fill for them. And this is something that they're looking at Europe and Caribbean right now, is this individual is going to travel around to the ships and check on the shops and look at the installations and make sure that everything's beautiful. And provided that they have success, which we know that they will because you guys are all amazing, is that then they will expand this program to include more candidates. So if that's of interest or you know somebody who can travel, we would love to talk to them. But please join us weekly in our Wednesday webinars. Please share this with anybody that you can. Jit, do you still have your hand up? And then I'll go to Ernadine. Those are my last two. Jit, you're muted. Maybe you're having signal issue. Okay, we'll come back to you. So.
Yes, of course. Sorry, is a signal issue something. Okay, I have my query solved, whatever, but maybe it's difficult. Okay, you carry on to another, okay? Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you for your.
Okay, thank you, Jit. Nice to meet you. Ernadine?
So for the position that you were speaking about, traveling visual merchandiser, I am available, and I do have my ideas that I would like to share in other occasion.
Okay, great. Christian will reach out. He's your
Thank you.
guy. Yeah, we'll set up an interview. We'd love to talk to you. So
Thank
the future is bright for everybody. Feel free to email us, you guys, if you have any questions or business inquiries you want us to look at. If you want to do a one-on-one, we're happy to. We're here to support you. And be sure to join us next week. Thank you guys for taking an hour and investing in yourself. It means a lot. It means a lot. So don't take that for granted. Okay? Thank you and have an amazing week. Bye.